It's okay to grow and build with your brothers. There's enough room for us all.
A lot of people would say, including people around me, it's like, oh, you own the company. You don't have to work.
2 weeks later, I made that money back because I had the suit. I was ready for the call. And I was like, see, that's how the world works.
Pop off if you want this week, because they'll come back next week because they know where you are.
When the universe puts something in front of you, you have to take advantage.
How many people get a great idea and they're just like, all right, cool, I'm not doing that.
And that's most people.
Yeah, that's most people, exactly.
Competition is necessary in order to reach perfection. My question would be, with all the success and all the wins, how do you stay sane and grounded? Okay, guys, I'm here with another episode of Silverback Syndicate. I have an iconic guest today. Once again, I'm your host, X. But today I have someone that I consider to be not just a mentor, but like I said, an icon in this industry and someone who is the actual blueprint to what you should look like and how you should carry yourself and how you should move on business side as well as the other side. Now, when I say the other side, some may not understand that, but if you get deep enough and involved in this industry, you will learn what the underside is. So without further ado, the man, the myth, the legend, the ghost whisperer, and everything in between. I have Mr. Elijah Shaw here with me today. How you doing, sir?
Brother, we made it happen, right?
Yes.
This is a story in itself. Right?
Yeah, I think this was like a year and a half in the making, honestly. And I'm very thankful that you're here today. I really do appreciate your time because I know time is money. Big money. So
I kind of feel like, should we talk here or do we? Do I need to do this? You know what I mean?
I don't know. I was trying to figure it out because this is a new studio setup for me. Yeah, we're just gonna wing it. This is not our normal setup, but because of our schedules, this is how we had to make it align. So we're gonna work with it. But before we get started, I want to give some facts out about who you are and some of your background currently, so that people who don't know, they can catch up and don't have to Google and figure things out. I want them to know what's important about who you are. You've been doing this since 1991, is that correct?
1991.
1991.
I know that date because I graduated high school in 1991.
Okay, that's 30 plus years in the business. I've been in security industry 21 years, but on the EP side, only about 12 to 13. So the reason why I point that out is because 13 to 14 years ago was when I discovered who you were.
Crazy.
You get what I'm saying?
That's crazy.
Like I did a deep dive on the internet and I saw this YouTube clip that you had and I was like, who's that? And the way you was carrying yourself. And then I saw the interviews of the house that you had in Minnesota, the training facility. Okay. And I was like, there's a black guy doing that?
You went way back.
Yeah. Like I was like, who is that? And then I just kept that name and I just kept following up. Didn't know you, didn't reach out to you, never spoke to you, but just doing research because at that time my journey was completely different. I was happy where I was at, so I wasn't willing to change it, but I saw basically like a black superhero in what we were doing. That's what it felt like to me. Right?
I'll take it, bro.
You know what I'm saying? And I like the fact that you come from Chicago, South Side. Yeah. You get what I'm saying? And I've run around with some South Side guys throughout my journey.
We've had that talk. I think,
so it was pretty cool to be like, oh, you like that? Okay. So even that was a bigger accolade to me because it's like, all right, you get it, but you don't have to be a part of it all day. Right. You know, something my mother used to say. Just because you come from this don't mean you got to act like it. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. So you've had very humble beginnens. Yeah. But
it's a little bit of understatement.
Very humble.
True, yeah.
Humble beginnings. And I say that because I know that the oven was open during the winter.
True. You heard that.
And I've experienced that too in my lifetime. Even though I was in Miami, we don't have winters.
You're right.
You know what I'm saying? So when it did happen, if it got cold, got to pop that oven open because I didn't have centralized AC. Okay. So it was like the vice versa. Right? It was in reverse. Yeah. So I always not necessarily saw myself in you because we have two different body types, but I saw that there was a way to make this happen without changing up who I was and being authentically me.
Sure.
Whether my beginnings were humble or not, there is a path for people like me. So that's what I've always acknowledged about you when I watch what you got going on.
And I don't want to be jumping too far ahead. I know you have a way you want to direct the conversation, but that's intentional. And what you felt is actually what I was at least trying to put out into the universe. I wanted people to see something authentic and then just make of that whatever you want. You know what I mean? Yeah, again, I know you said it kind of jokingly, like the superhero shit is funny, but I just want people to realize that, oh, there's people out here who are actually doing the work that maybe look like me or maybe don't come from means or maybe haven't been in the military, haven't been in law enforcement, but can still create something in the space. And they're relatable enough that you can reach out to them. You can figure out a way to navigate to them and they're not withholding the information.
Exactly.
There might be steps to get to the information, right? You know what I mean?
Comfortable with you. They're not just going to give it to you.
Exactly. Yeah, right. You know what I mean? When you go to train with the martial art master, you got to go up the top of the mountain, right? Yeah. It ain't like he got to come to the bottom of the mountain as well. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, when I hear something like that, bro, just in that microcosm, I'm like, damn, okay, that's what I was trying to make happen. You know what I mean? Some people might interpret it like, oh, he's just trying to do it for the look or this or that. And some of these things are more common these days. But when I started,
there was nothing.
All of that was taboo, bro. All of that.
Just the YouTube clips alone, I like.
YouTube, bro. So I came into MySpace days. And top five friends. Yeah, exactly. Top the friends list, bro. So I came out on the MySpace stage going into Facebook. And I just remember there were people in the industry, and all of these people were senior to me. Mm-hmm. They were already doing it, or at least professing that they were doing it.
Exactly.
Or they did it 100 years ago, and now they're on the couch, and they were like, oh, we would never do this and this and this. And this is when they were bulletin boards.
Yeah.
And so there were some invitation-only protection groups, and they would say, you can't show your face. You can't talk about things. And I'm like, if you can't do any of those things, how are you going to inspire and motivate the next person who wants to do those things? You know what I mean? Imagine going to a basketball game, you couldn't see the game, they just tell you the stats.
Exactly.
Right? They just tell you what the players make.
You literally was the first black dude I seen standing next to a PJ with a cell phone in his hand with the client walking. I'm like, what?
And it wasn't staged.
Yeah, like it was a real thing. Like it was like, oh, this there's real levels to this. Like, because what I remember, even as a kid, I've always been avid at going to concerts. My mom is a big music fan. Mm-hmm. So when I would go to shows, I was always peeking, looking at how they move behind the stage. Yeah. So I was always looking at the bodyguards. Yeah. And I've had experience running into bodyguards back when I was just an athlete or a college kid or whatever. Mm-hmm. And they always had a big black t-shirt, a white towel over their shoulder. And they're just big, heavy set. They didn't look like they were in shape. They just were big bodies. Yeah. They weren't very friendly or personable. They were just very brute. The old school way of just doing things. So I never imagined my career to be that, but I was always fascinated with the behind the scenes. So like I said, when I saw the Fly Cool brother doing it, I'm like, wait, he's not even a big guy. And the reason why I say he's not a big guy, and I understood it because I know you come from a martial arts background. You don't speak about it. You know what I'm saying? Like you
research.
Yeah, you have a skill set to make sure business is taken care of, but it's uninviting. It's not like you're inviting violence. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. And I never want to have my look provoke somebody to think, oh, I got to do this to get it. Like, no. Like, my uncle they call him Seafood for a reason. He's a bad man. You get what I'm saying? And he's not a very big guy.
I get it.
But, you need a lot of weapons to even look like it's an equal fight with him. So I know what it looks like when a person is moving a certain way and they look a certain way and you naturally think, oh, no. I promise you, he's going to flip you. And I've said that to people when I first started talking about you to other guys. They were like, oh, man, but he's... I'm like, look, I promise you, you don't want no smoke with somebody like that because there's levels to it. Even with the firearms, we get a lot of guys nowadays that are constantly posting guns, they're running and shooting. That's not on your page. It's never in your content. Yeah. But if you look deep enough, it's in the background. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, you literally had a training facility where there was a house.
Yeah.
Kicking indoors, different scenarios, kidnapping scenarios. I was like, no police, no military. to get to that point, that has to be a true passion.
Sure.
Because you're not going to just do that to do that. Like you.
Well, here's the thing, bro. Like when I kind of backed into the industry, but when I made the decision that I was going to go full steam ahead, writing, oh, this is something that that's interesting to me, that I'm innately good at, right? You know how you can, this clicks, right? I get it. Then it was like, okay, now I got to figure out how to make a business out of it, make a career out of it. But I knew I was at a disadvantage. I didn't have that built-in safety mechanism of law enforcement, and I didn't have that built-in safety mechanism in the military. So I could, enroll in law enforcement, enroll in the academy, or I could enlist and I could spend those years doing that and then come back into the private sector, or I could start, I call it in the mailroom of our industry, and just learn everything in the private sector. So those things that you're talking about, those are side quests that I had to go on. I call it making myself hater proof. I had to get those lessons from all these different places over the years to then progress up the ranks, because if I was going to do it and I was going to be in the same marketplace or stand shoulder to shoulder or have someone depend on me who does have those skill sets, I mean, how I look coming in there like, yo, bro, just, I don't believe in the DEI in the sense of like, just you know what I mean? Like, oh, you're a cool guy, you dress well, come on in this detail. Nah, that's bro, you got to be able to produce. So I did those trainings. I did that study. I did that apprenticeship, and all of the halls and walls. And again, I think we might be getting ahead, but all of the halls and walls and doors
we're not ahead
and all of that.
This is how it goes.
All of those things I did, and I still do.
Yeah.
But I mean, I did it, and I was like, more please. You know what I mean? Like, no problem. Because I knew I had an end goal that I wanted to get to.
But see, that's the passion that I'm referring to. You started off in the clubs.
Yeah.
You started off in the clubs. I started off in the clubs. I may have a bias. I know you speak about military and police. I firmly believe, this is my personal belief. I don't have a study. There's no numbers to prove it. But just in my mind and heart, I feel like guys who come from the club are more successful at this if they go the right route.
Interesting.
And the reason why I say that is because when you are in the club scene, you're catching people at their demon time. You get what I'm saying?
Right, yeah,
From
right.
10 p.m. to 2 a.m., depending on where you are. In my business, it was 12 a.m. to 6 a.m. Because Miami don't close like that. You get what I'm saying? You're dealing with people who probably are good people.
Okay.
But you're catching them when they're not in their right mind.
I'm tracking.
You get what I'm saying? And you have to learn how to deal with that without taking it there. So you got to get that verbal judo, that mental psyche to learn how to not take it personal.
Sure.
Take an extra breath, take a step, you know what I'm saying? Give grace and talk your way out of things before you get to toss your way out of things.
Yeah.
But then you also get the experience of tossing your way out of things.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So like you have to learn all that. Otherwise you don't go home.
The other piece of that too, that's an interesting theory you got there. The other piece of that is that in that setting, you will find out really quick that actions have repercussions.
Exactly. Immediate.
Right. So pop off if you want this week, because they'll come back next week because they know where you are.
Where I'm from, they don't come back next week. I'll see you in
I'll
be right back.
Right, 100%, right. But what I mean is, but you realize that those consequences, you know what I mean, have repercussions. And so you have to think strategically.
Exactly.
You don't have the same type of force multipliers that you might in other sectors. Now, of course, you got a crew or a team, and some of those guys are official, and whatever.
Yeah.
But you're thinking very strategically because you know that the deck is stacked against you in that. You know what I mean?
And not just you. Yeah. If you violate, your team could be the person who suffers from it.
For sure.
So you got to learn how to be a team player. You got to think about the people around you. And it's not a knock against people who are officers or military, but there's no badge in the streets.
Yeah, I definitely I get where you're going with that or whatever. And I think all of these lanes are, the smart person takes something from all of these different things. You know what I mean? The problem is when people discount one over the other.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And I'm sure you've seen that.
All the time.
And when that happens, bro, I got no problem with that. Because like, I know people used to say, especially again back in the day, they were like, and even now, celebrities, I don't want nothing to do with celebrities. They're a headache. And I'm like, that's great.
I'll take
more of the market share. Yeah, exactly, right. You know what I mean? Just imagine if like Burger King was like, nah, man, we're not doing chicken burgers. Chick-fil-A is like, cool. Like, you know what I mean?
Take it.
Like, no problem.
Exactly.
So I think if if you understand that in all of these sectors, there are things that you can take and you can incorporate. What happens is in law enforcement and the military, you end up with this high level of training, but when you transition into the private sector, you sometimes come in with the mentality that you still have all of that.
You don't have the badge.
All of those, yeah, you're right. You don't have all those resources or that so you can't control the whole environment the same way. And you can't even interact with the clientele the same way.
Because the client is the boss.
Yeah, for sure.
That's the part a lot of guys get confused. And you've asked this question. I know it's a part of your thing. Who's the boss?
Yeah. Exactly. Who pays your check? Who writes the check?
Who cuts the check?
Yeah. And it's interesting that when I do that every class, I ask, and it's interesting who they think that answer is. You know what I mean?
And they get confused.
Sure.
I've seen it live in action. I'm like, you do understand this is not. You know what I mean? Like, watch who you talking to.
I'll tell you something. First time I ever told this out loud. I got a call. This is a decade ago now or something. From someone representing Mark Zuckerberg. They called the office. So this is a long time ago. This one had the Minnesota office. They called the office and they wanted to talk to me. I think they sent me an email first and they wanted to talk, and it was a recruiter, and they were looking for somebody to take over on his personal detail. And the question I got right out the gate is, I mean, I'm flattered, but what happened to the other guys? And at that time there, what they said was that the last team he had prior to this phone call from me, they were pulled from the Secret Service. And so you would think, what's the problem? That's great. They kept telling him no. That's what the issue was.
Yeah.
Which makes sense coming from where they're coming from. Yeah. You see what I mean? It's structured, it's regimented.
There's rules and protocol.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't
and they
change
kept
it.
telling him what he couldn't do, and I guess that became frustrating.
And I'm glad you tapped into that because I would say in the last few months, I've taken on 2 or 3 new clients. And when you get a new client, you have to learn them.
Sure. Yeah.
But you're going to do it on the fly.
Sure.
And then you have to learn the pros and the cons. And now a lot of these celebrities keep forgetting they're a celebrity. And us being EP, we have rules and protocol in our head. Like, no, we don't move like that. We shouldn't do it like this. Right. And I constantly have to check myself before I speak out loud when they be like, oh, hey, X, you think we could do that? My first reaction, hell no, that's a terrible idea. But then I have to, like you said, sure, you the boss.
Yeah.
We got to go to war. We got to go to war. Whatever you set it up and how you need it to be, we're going to make it happen.
Sure.
Because telling you no, like you said, it's like, all right, so I'll just find a guy.
Now, you can say no once, you know what I mean? Like, so you have to just, but now again, and I know you're not saying that. We're not saying that anything the client says goes and we're going to do and jump off a cliff. No. But at the same time, we have to understand, again, who's paying the bills, who's writing the check, you know what I mean? And at the essence, what we do is solving problems.
Exactly.
That's what we do. I tell people, I do logistics and problem solving.
I'm in mitigations.
Thank you. Great. That's what I do.
I learned that from my mom in the legal field.
I'm doing problem solving. And so if they got an issue, I'm just trying to figure out the solution to the issue. Now, going back to the thing about, cats all day, all they do is talk about guns and post guns and shoot guns and all of that. If that's all you do, that's all you're going to do in a situation, right? Yeah. Or at least that's the perception of it, right?
And if your client is looking for that type of action, you got to ask yourself why.
Yeah. And you might say, well, why am I here? Because that's what you were.
You told me that's what you
exactly.
do.
That's what you were promoting, right? And of course, you know what I mean?
And I've had clients who that's what they're looking for and that's what they require. I've had to build teams similar like that, but then I like to give the client options. Like, this is your idea. Yeah. That's cool. Well, this is what's going to require those ideas to happen. Is you got A, B, C, or D. How would you like to proceed?
I love that.
And the reason why I do that is because I still give them the power. I still want them to know you're up here and I'm down. I know I'm the help, and I'm okay with that. Sure. But I get paid very well to be the help, so I'm cool. As long as you don't disrespect me and my character, we'll be fine. So I lay out the options and I let them make the decision.
Got it.
But it still gives me control because I gave you the options that work in my mind or what I think is going to be best. Sure. And then they choose it, and then that's how we roll. But yeah, the advertisement of the guns and running, but why do you want to go somewhere where you need a gun all the time?
Right.
You can't take a gun in the venue.
Yeah.
You can't take a gun
Sure.
I just told you earlier off mic about a situation. I walked in somewhere and they were worried about us having guns. Like, no, this place is very legal to have guns. We don't have that.
Right.
But that is what everybody's pushing now, and
Sure.
so many incidents happening on TV where it's gun involvement. Now everybody's like paranoid. Like, no, we like to go to safe spaces.
Sure.
Safe spaces. Yeah. Now I want to touch on your app that a lot of guys need to know about because it's a executive protection app where I utilize it just to see who's in the market and see how people are moving and see the questions guys are having. But it's a great way to interact with others outside of your market. Not only just to steal ideas, but just also stay motivated. I feel like competition is necessary in order to reach perfection. I had a strength coach. Perfect practice is what makes perfection, not practice to be perfect. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's it.
So in everything that you should be doing, you should be trying to be perfect at it, and you should look for other people in that same source. The NABA application, North American Bodyguard Association. Did I say it right? Okay. Yep. That's what it is. And you are the director.
I'm the national director.
Yeah. I remember when I signed up for the app, I received a certificate in the mail. I was like, oh, wasn't expecting that. Like, it's stuff that comes with it. Like it's a.
You mean we're official is what you say?
Yeah, like initially anything you do, I'm going to try to support it. So I jumped on the app. But then I didn't even log into the app. I paid for it. I paid for the year. I remember I was like, I'm gonna pay for the year because I'm gonna forget, and it just went out of my mind because I was too busy. I never even clicked on the app yet. Never saw the sources, and then I got something in the mail. I was like, what is this? Oh, you know what? Let me click on this app, and then I saw everything that was in it. I was like, I'll be damned. He did it again.
Actually, I think you messaged me and said that.
Yeah. I said, damn, he did it again. And I was happy to see it because it's like, this is a resource that if you're new and you have questions, you can go there.
Yeah.
You don't feel stupid anymore. It's not gatekeeping.
Yeah.
So I wanted to bring that up because I want you to know I appreciate that.
Yeah.
You've created a lot of resources I get to send guys to because I don't have the bandwidth to always try to answer questions. But if I can point people in the right direction and say, hey, go here, try that, look at that, it works out.
And it's the same thing for me.
Yeah.
So at the stage of my career, when I was developing things, it was, I would get the questions and you hear me say a lot, pay it forward, right?
Yeah.
So I believe in that mentality and that thought process. We talk about that offline quite a bit, in our communications about paying it forward. It's like, okay, how can I do it? And that's, when I got into the training program, and that's when I started writing articles. And eventually when I started writing the book, it was like a way to kind of be able to create resources that people can tap in, because I can't answer every question personally, even though I would love to. I just don't have the bandwidth to that. So it was about kind of scaling those things and putting them out there. And the app is a resource, like how you use the app. That's a strategic way to use the app. And I try and tell people when they ask me, it's like, if you're on Facebook or you're on Instagram and you're just scrolling, that's not helping your brand. Right? That's not, so now let's say you hit the like button, you see something that you're interested in, you hit the like button. That tells a story, but who sees that, right?
Nobody.
The next step of that is, well, what if you left a comment? Okay, maybe more people see that, right? But how often do you leave comments, right? So when I was thinking of the app or whatever, which there's a part of it that is has a social aspect of it that's similar to Facebook feed or Instagram feed. But everybody that's in that is in our profession.
Yeah.
So that means if you leave a comment there, people in the profession see it.
Exactly.
And they can get a gauge or a sense of your personality if you do it enough. So again, I just put it there. What you want to do with it and how you want to use it is up to the individual.
And then the good thing is you get to click on the person's profile. You can see where they're from, who they are, what their background is. There's job postings on there constantly.
Yeah. So it's just a resource. But some people can use it very strategic and create opportunities. And that's the same thing that happens on IG or LinkedIn or wherever. It's just so much other stuff going on in there that things can kind of get lost in the shuffle. And then we can, meaning users, can spend all this time just scrolling and looking at.
I'd rather doom scroll on your app than be doom scrolling on Instagram.
Yeah, I'm trying. I'm trying not to doom scroll at all, bro. It's a tough thing.
I've been seeing that you've been laying off the algorithm a little bit.
You see, bro, you're very, very perceptive.
Listen, like you said, you you always say adding tools to the toolbox. So who made the toolbox? Who makes the tools? You want to pay attention to that too. Yeah. And to me, you're one of the guys who makes the tools. So why would I not be paying attention? I have to have the same passion I had when I ran across you about 13, 14 years ago, as well as today, because I'm not where I want to be. And you're constantly growing, right? So if you're setting the benchmark higher and higher, and I'm telling myself, well, I need to keep going, I got to keep watching where it's going. I got to see where the business is going. Because at this current time, you're in the room in places that I'm trying to get to. You know what I'm saying? And I'd be boo-boo the fool to try to reinvent the wheel. You know what I mean? But I'm not also, I consciously make sure I don't mimic exactly what you do. Because dick riding is a real thing. You know what I mean? And I just can't be that guy. I will praise you and give you your flowers, but I'm not gonna dick ride you to the point that I'm just trying to be a mini version of somebody else. I still have to be me.
For sure.
Like I constantly get, why don't you write a book, or why don't you do a schooling? And I'm like, there's a schooling out there that's gonna teach you everything I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
And they're gonna have the patience to teach you because I'm gonna, like, the real me, I'm off the hinge.
Hey, but listen, but there we go again into that's strategic. You're thinking it through. You know what I mean? The thing I try and, when I talk to people and they ask for advice, it's like, be intentional. Be intentional in the things that you do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When you and was it one of the episodes, I think it was the last one that I caught, you had somebody on that did marketing. You know, and they talked about marketing, and I was just like, yo, this here, everybody in our industry should be watching this podcast, right? Because here's somebody who all you had to do is sign on to YouTube and you get free game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like, to the point, it's like, so if I'm scrolling looking at bum fight videos, or I could just go and watch this clip of two people having a discussion, two professionals.
That can help you.
One who's in the industry doing the work I want to do, or I am doing, and someone here who shows you how to get more of that or craft your brand. Why wouldn't I listen to that? You know, and so anyway, I applaud that. And I think you want to figure out, you know, I always talk about finding a niche. You know, figure out what makes you different, figure out what makes you unique. One of the cool things, again, about your podcasts, one is the fact that you have a podcast. Think about that.
I'm still blown by that.
No, listen, think about that, bro. That you have a podcast, that's dope, right? But the fact that the guests that you've had on all kind of have little things that are unique about them. You know what I mean?
So I stole this from you. I've always admired how you move in, like you said, being intentional. I'm an overthinker. If you're good at your job, you're gonna overthink. And I've always said, I'm gonna do this to help the next person, because there's no purpose to gatekeeping. If we can all be elite in the same room, then we don't have to look over our shoulders. And it's easier to call guys to be like, hey, I need your help. Can you come in? You could plug and play, because now everybody's at a baseline level where clients can feel comfortable, and I can feel comfortable putting you around a client. I know you prefer to just train with everybody that you work with, which I absolutely love. But sometimes that opportunity may not always be there.
Oh, for sure. I've got the resources to do it because I've been doing it, training course for over 15 years.
So what I do is I just send guys to you. Like, if you don't want to be, how do I get on your team? Have you gone to Icon yet? Well, what's your training? And they'd be like, training? What? No, I didn't start off in training, but there's a resource now where you could. If I had that opportunity back then, I would have. And that's the road I would have taken. It would have gave me a kickstart and a head start. But, you know, I took the other road because that's what it was. Cool. Now you have an opportunity to say, hey, you know what I'm saying? Resource, okay? Written by Elijah Saul, Celebrity Protection and Touring. I've given this book out to multiple people, okay? So much so that I have to have the audiobook because y'all keep taking my copy, okay? This is a resource. Use it. It's only $15, $30. Who cares? It's worth it. You will get that money back in 1 hour. Introduction to protection and executive protection, okay? Resource, use it. You can look this up online. I will make sure I plug the link on the YouTube so you guys can take a look, read it. If you don't have time to read it, you can get the audio versions. There you go. Plug and play. Very simple. Resources, utilize it. I promise you, it will help you. If you read this book, it will help you. If you are a female and you go out a lot, read the book. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you are a father and you want to protect your family, read the book. There's going to be something you can learn. That's how I feel about it. So I'll let that sit. I'm going to do something real quick with you. I call this quick fire. It's the first time I do this. When I say these names, I just want to see where your head is.
Okay.
Mark 6 James.
That's my brother.
Okay.
Like, is that all you want to say? Just
whatever comes to your mind.
That's my brother.
Okay.
And let me tell you the thing about 6. You know, everybody's got somebody that hopefully that phone call comes, you know what I mean, 3 a.m, like, where you need me to be.
Yeah.
They're not asking you, you know, what's in it
questions.
for me? Yeah, exactly. Or, man, I got to get up and work in the morning. 6 has been like that since the day we met. And the things that I do, he does the same things for his own clientele. He's got his own areas of expertise. He's got his own method of doing things. But like, we're literally like Voltron. We'll just form together, man. So he's a great brother.
He is the reason why I have so many suits just waiting. He's literally like, I remember I came back from your course, and one of the things that stuck out to me was his presentation at the schooling. And I had some side conversations with him, and I like the fact that he's direct. I love when people are direct.
No BS.
He's not a big guy, but
No
he's very direct.
Yeah.
And he had said some things to me that gave me a reality check. And I said, I'm missing this.
That component.
Yeah. And I went home and I checked my finances, and I was like, damn, I don't have it to do what I need to do. Mm-hmm. And I called my mom. No bullshit. I called my mom and said, look, Ma, I need to get some suits.
This is my plan.
This is my plan. I said, I need to get some suits. There was a spot in Miami that all the athletes go to because they have it for taller people. And they had this deal: buy one, get one free, buy 2, get 3 free.
Oh, yeah.
So I said, Ma, I need to
buy 2. I need to buy 2. I need to pay for 2 of these suits.
I said, I need at least 2 suits and I need 2 sports coats.
It's going to give me 5.
Yeah. And I remember the color scheme that Mark had laid out. He said, if you got to have this. And I said, okay. And she fronted me the money. And I went and got the suits. And I got suits that were tailored for firearms, without firearms. Did everything that he laid out. Paid all attention to the detail. The colors, dark gray, light gray, black, all that. And not even 2 weeks later, I made that money back because I had the suit. I was ready for the call. And I was like, see, that's how the world works. You got to pay attention to the universe. When the universe puts something in front of you, you have to take advantage. And I remember people clowned me when I got back from the class because I had posted the pictures and I was giddy, I was smiling, I was posting everything, like, yeah, I went to Icon. And they're like, why are you so hyped? It's just like, man, you don't need to go to school and do all this. And I was like, y'all just don't understand. A person like me, I need that. I need to be around like-minded people to push me. And I'm thankful for that because that helped my career in so many different ways.
Can I just say something real quick? Because it ties into what we were just talking about a second ago. You talked about this was a certain module that Mark James was teaching, and it was on branding and wardrobe. Yeah, right?
Exactly.
Mark is an amazingly proficient firearms instructor, like master level. That's not what he's teaching at the class. He teaches this piece here that we intentionally carve out a certain amount. It's a whole day now. I think it was half a day before. It's a whole day now of our 10-day course. He teaches that because we feel that there is vitally important, because if you can't get the gigs, meaning the gigs that you want, right? Because people can back into a gig. But if you can't get the gigs that you want because you don't have the look right, the presentation, the branding, the expertise, the understanding of contracts and all of that kind of stuff, then the other stuff don't even matter.
That was another thing he brought up, was the contract. Yeah. He checked me on.
Bro, listen.
He's like, I'm not going to give it to you for free. I paid thousands of dollars to the lawyer. But you know what? I went home and I learned them contracts. I figured it out quick. There it is. All right. Next name, Sam Alicia.
We call Sam the vertebrae.
Yeah, man.
So Sam Alicia is a guy who came through our program years and years ago now. And he came from a law enforcement background. I think he was trying to figure out the next chapter in his life or whatever. Came through the program. And in the beginning, when he took the course, and he'll admit it, he was still trying to figure out, okay, what am I going to do in this industry? What's my niche, right? And I remember I was pulling him in on I think it was a tour. I think it was one of the tours that we were doing. And I was pulling him in on that. And he did the advance for me. And he did the advance for me from like before I had even given him the dates. So I didn't give him any information. I think he just went on public data, public source, open source information, grabbed all of this stuff and then presented it to me. And I was like, where'd you get this from? And he was like, I pulled it. And from that moment on, we were pretty much inseparable. Because I'm like, oh, I'm not a paperwork guy. I do it because I got to do it. You know what I mean? He's a paperwork guy, right? He's the dot the I's and cross the T's and make sure this happens and make sure. So everything that, because, you know, I've got that entrepreneurial spirit and that drive, and I'm also an active out in the field. So anything that I can miss, Sam has like got my back.
Oh, definitely.
In order to get it done.
I'm gonna tell you how good Sam is. I sent you a text on WhatsApp. I saw the message, but you didn't respond. About 15 hours later, Sam texted me with the response. I said, damn. I said, man, Elijah's a fucking superhero, bro. But I appreciated it because you were mindful to say, hey, listen, this slipped my brain. You brought it up, and then Sam hit me with the response like, oh, that's love right there.
I mean,
like,
but to the, like, you know, he's the vice president of the company now.
Yeah.
And again, he worked his way up through the company from an operator to my operations manager to VP. Like, the company doesn't exist. It doesn't run without him.
Yeah.
He'll probably use that when it's time to renegotiate his contract. But company doesn't run without him. But he'll still be like, yo, Elijah, did you take care of this? Did you remember such and such's birthday? Remember to send out a card? You know what I mean? Like,
it's necessary.
So so again, we call him the vertebrae because he's the backbone of the organization.
It's necessary. That's I'm low key. As I grow and the branding grows for my company, I've stolen these things from you because now I know what I necessarily need, because I'm a big picture guy. I'm not trying to do the in-between. I'm not trying to send the email. I'm going to send you this voice note and I'm going to walk away. Okay? I'm a maniac when it comes to that. And I'm now getting people around me who can handle my personality and understand what I need. But the craziest part is I'm grabbing people who aren't in the industry. And this is because they're bringing something else to me to help me, you know, navigate how I have to. So, Sam, I appreciate you. I use those apps that I've stalked that you don't say nothing about, but I figured it out. I learned. So, shout out to you on that. Kevin Gee, Mr. Philly. Yeah. I love that guy. And I mind you, we don't have conversations. I just like the way he moves, and when he talks, he doesn't BS.
Another no-nonsense guy.
Yeah. And he's one of the few guys that I respect that's come from the officer side and really gets it how to move on the other side. And there's no apologies with him. Yeah. And I don't know, I have a bias towards my guys from Philly. I get a lot of love in Philly, but Kevin Gee.
Yeah. So Kevin's a consigliere.
Yeah.
And I call him my consigliere because he's the guy that would just keep it real with me. You know, there's people who justified or not might think, oh, I don't want to tell Elijah he's doing something wrong or tell him I didn't agree with this or this. Kevin would be like, yo, bro. And you know what I mean? This is how I feel about this or such, or, you know, and he's such a straight shooter that I love that. And you want people like that around the table. You don't want, you know, just yes men. Not that I have that, but I'm saying you don't want that. And he's a person that does that. And then the other thing is, like, you know, Kevin don't say too much, but when he says it, he says
That's
it.
What I'm saying.
He you know what I mean? When he'll go from 0 to 60 quick, you know what I mean? But he don't say too much. But the things that he's done, bro, whether they were in, because similar story, like, you know, Kevin is from the streets, the part of Philly that he worked in and operated in and lived in.
Oh, I know. I researched everybody.
Okay, there you go, right, exactly. So have him on the show. So there's that. But when he made the transition into what we do, I mean, Kevin works with the biggest names in the world.
Man.
But he not, oh, look at me all hugged up on this person, and look at me doing this, look at me doing this. He don't have to do that.
And he doesn't wear black. He doesn't wear black. Yeah. He's another one who changed my wardrobe game.
Yeah, ask him why, he'll tell you too.
I went shopping for him too.
Sure. There you go. But that's what I'm saying. So there's a theme going here. And the theme is that each one of these guys, and I don't know how many other names you got on there, but they all have their own lane, the areas of expertise, the things that they do well, and they've had a vision and seen it, like, you know what I mean? And seen it through, you know? How many people get a great idea and they're just like, all right, cool, I'm not doing that.
And that's most people.
Yeah, that's most people, exactly. And so the high performers are people that have that and then just stay with it. Doesn't always work. I say with my stuff, it's 2 steps forward, 1 step backwards. Yeah. Every successful app I had a whole bunch of missteps that cost me money and I lost money and, you know what I mean, lost time and I should have been doing this versus doing that, you know what I mean? But I keep going and, you know, hopefully forward.
You got to keep going. Yeah. Now, the last name I'm going to say, Ventrell Wilson.
V, he's the lone wolf. So that's the guy who's really behind the scenes. Again, another person who came through the program. Again, it's a common theme, right? I work with the people that I've trained with and trained alongside, et cetera. Exactly. And he's that guy who will be in the background, doesn't want any spotlight, right? And he's going to make it happen. If you said what we do is a rap crew, and then this is Rockefeller Records, he's Biggs.
Yeah.
He's the guy in the background.
And if you don't know who Biggs is, you might want to do some research on that too.
The same thing. You know what I mean? You're not going to see a whole lot of stuff from V. You know, he might like a post or put up some marketing to promote the course or something, but that's about it.
I remember the first time I met him. He was so in his word, like, hey, and just,
did you get 2-3 words from him?
Yeah, I was like, damn. Sam was like, don't worry about it. I was like, oh, okay, my bad.
Yeah, but that's him. But he will give you the shirt off his back.
Yeah, for sure.
And again, everybody sees me, meaning, you know, when I move around and do stuff, even a conversation like this. Yeah. V made it here before I did.
Yeah. And you know, just watch it. He'll be here in about 5 minutes. And literally 5 minutes later.
V made it here before me. You know, all of the movements that I do, he's usually somewhere right. Yeah. If you do see me, he's off screen from me.
And if you don't see you, he's there before you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, but and that carries on. So he's fully integrated into my operation, but also into like on the personal life too. Like he's one of those guys, you know what I mean? Like, bro, I'm stuck. I'm overseas and there's a package coming to the crib and it's got to be signed for. Yeah, bro, I got you. You know what I mean? Whatever that is. So
it's necessary. Yeah. I think a lot of times people let the internet create this narrative in their mind of who we are and what we do. And the reason why I brought up all those names is because I know who these guys are and I know the roles that they play. But I want the other people who are watching, I love that, bro. Like, it's okay to grow and build with your brothers. There's enough room for us all to grow. It's not I hate that statement, self-made. That's impossible. For sure. There's nobody self-made. It's going to take a team. You're going to have people who believe in you and they're going to push you, not by telling you to do something, but just their energy alone makes you want to do better. It's the same concept of when you have a child. You get a battery in your back now, like, oh, I have to win because you know somebody's dependent on you. Right. You get what I'm saying? And speaking of children and family life, now that I'm bringing it up, how do you stay sane and balance work life, family? Because you're very good at keeping your family and information, your personal, very personal. There's only so much you can dig up on people. Like, your stuff is off the radar. I was like, damn, do you have the internet wiped? You know what I mean? Like, I know you have a son, but he's older. And I always ask myself, I remember the first time you posted him, I asked myself, I said, I wonder how he feels about his dad growing up, knowing that you were gone, but there was a purpose for it. And yeah, you were gone, but I can see you on TV. I can see you here and there. Yeah, that's my dad. I'm proud. When you look back, is there anything that you would say to the guys who are younger fathers, like anything that they should be aware of to be like, hey, you know what? Just make sure you keep this in mind.
Yeah, it's a great question. It's a heavy one too. So a couple of things. One, I do try and create some separation between the things I give to the world and the things I try and keep private, and that intentional. Yeah, because I don't think people should give everything. You know, now there's different scales and different personalities, etc. Excuse me. So that's the piece that I try and protect, because heaven forbid, bro. You know what I mean? You know, and all of the things that we try and talk to our clients about, why wouldn't I make that applicable to my family? You know what I mean? I'm not gonna be posting pictures in the crib and posting pictures of newborns. Not that I have a newborn. You know what I mean? Posting pictures of newborns and like, look at my baby, and you know what I mean? And look at my street address, and you know, so that's just not, because I wouldn't want my clients doing that, and I would advise them against that. So why would I do that? Now to the other part, in terms of finding the balance, I will honestly say I'm still trying to figure that out. And I've done this for 30 years. We talked about the entrepreneurial spirit. So because I've built this business out of my brain, trying to figure it out, make it happen, 2 steps forward, 1 step back, I'm all in on the work piece.
Yeah.
And so I have to slow down and hit the brakes and be like, wait, there's more to
life and happiness.
More to life and that, you know what I mean? And so I made a ton of sacrifices, and there are definitely things I wish I could kind of do over, create more time, carve out more time, you know. I mean, I'll tell you this right now because we're on the call here. Like, we're having this conversation here, and then I'm on a plane and I'm missing Christmas because I'm working. You know what I mean? And, you know, a lot of people would say, including people around me, is like, oh, you own the company. You don't have to work on the holidays if you don't want to.
That's not how this goes.
And it's like, you can make that argument. Okay, cool, such and such, you know. But my point is what you asked me, to the person that's earlier trying to get in, if there's ways that they can create that separation and create like these clear lines and these boundaries, and like, you know, there's people that tell me like, yo, I can't work because it's my kid's birthday. I'll respect that. I understand it. I have to go to somebody else to assign them for that role, but I won't hold it against them. You know what I mean? That's not to say there aren't people who would hold that against you. There are clients who go, well, no, we don't want him. He can't work. You know,
exactly.
There's not to say that, because there's a reality to that. But my point is that I'm at the stage that I'm in. I'm trying to be more understanding that there's more to life than just the work.
Yeah.
And I think that's, again, I'm not trying to compare myself like that, but if you look at somebody like Kobe Bryant, you know what I mean? He was somebody that was super obsessed. And I guess I do compare myself in the sense that I want a work ethic like that. You know what I mean? But he was super obsessed with being the best in his field. And I'm sure some things suffered.
Of course.
Because of that. And you will probably find out with a lot of high performers, right? And so what I don't want to do is be on the other side, right?
Yeah.
Where it's just like looking back with a ton of regrets.
Yeah.
I look back now with some regrets. And so what I would say to people, to your question, who are coming up and they want and they're hungry and they're like, oh, just give it to me, right? It's like, figure out how to strike the balance though.
Yeah, because the reason why I asked that is my son is 12. I feel like my daughter was easier to raise because she was a girl.
Okay.
So she didn't need to be surrounded by male energy. She needed to be surrounded by female energy. Yeah. She had that. She had a stepmom. She had a biological mom. She had grandmothers. She's good. Okay. She's not on the pole. I won. Congratulations. Right? Nothing against girls who get on the pole.
I'm trying.
I just don't want mine on there. I told you I'm unhinged. I'm sorry. But with my son, I have a constant struggle because the last 2-3 years, I've missed his birthday. He's had parties. I haven't been there. I had to call in on FaceTime. Thank God we have FaceTime. I'm home for Christmas. I'm home for Thanksgiving. But then there's other things that he's involved in, like his karate. He just got a new belt the other day, and I missed that. Yeah. And what sucked was I'm working, but I'm working in home. So it's like he's literally 15 miles away, and I can't do nothing about it. And I ask myself every day, is it worth it? You know, and I'm conflicted because, like you said, I have a drive to be great. I was an athlete. I've had a different trajectory many times to get to this point. And there's been sacrifices made. And I always wonder, like, is it worth it? Is it worth it? But then I ask myself, he deserves the best life I can give him.
Sure.
And if I'm great at something, he deserves to see somebody be great at something. Instead of seeing me come home working 8 hours for somebody else and sitting on the couch saying, oh, my dad was home. At least he could say, hey, my dad was out there going to get it.
Sure.
So that's how I make amends with it. But like I said, I constantly watch what you got going on as far as I can see, as far as you allow to be seen. Because I always tell people, I said, man, Elijah's a sneaky motherfucker, boy. You think he's slick.
No, bro. I just know you'll message me sometime like, yo, I ain't heard from you in a minute.
Yeah.
I ain't seen you online in a minute. What you got cooking?
Yeah. Because I'm telling you, I told this to Vontrell. I was like, yo, in my heart and in my mind, you are the blueprint. You get what I'm saying? And I take that serious because there's a lot of terrible people in this game. You know, the industry we in is not the real world. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So there's very few that we can look at, especially who look like me with the brown skin and the melanin.
I'm tracking.
I mean, I can't grow a beard.
Yeah, I remember that shot you gave me, but that's cool.
I can't grow a beard, but it's cool. You know, when I see you in the sand wearing the original gear that we started off in as humans, I'm like, yo, that's fire. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going out there because that's not my vibe. I'm more of a Caribbean kind of guy. But I love the fact that you put that out there, because then it's like, hey, this is real life. This can happen.
Yeah.
This could be you if you just follow the blueprint. So that's really what I do. I watch you because I know you're intentional. You get what I'm saying? And by definition, to me, you are longevity. 30 years at a high rate. You've literally experienced at least 3 artists off the top of my head that had #1 albums. And not just #1 albums, but like impactful albums that people can sit there and say, man, that might be one of the greatest of that genre, period. You get what I'm saying? And knowing what I know, those rides are fucking crazy. You get what I'm saying?
Sure.
So my question would be, with all the success and all the wins, how do you stay sane and grounded?
So a couple things. One, I got a great team. And like I don't even really consider wins without the people around me benefiting from that.
Yeah.
Because I know that there's a shortcut career-wise that I could have taken, different forks along the road, but you lose the people that you're with. And I didn't do that for whatever reason, right? But, so the hunger that I have is to also create opportunities for anybody who wants those opportunities that's around me, So that's one thing. So I'm like, whatever make it means, I don't feel like I made it until everybody's made it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. That's
one thing. And I think the other thing is just that, like, I just got perspective. I know I'm happy to be where I am. I love what I do. I'm happy to be here because I know where I came from.
Yeah.
So yeah, when I'm in Morocco or Wadi Rum, Jordan, or Saudi Arabia, and I'm walking around with no shoes on in a robe, that's intentional, because when I was little, with $0, I used to look in these books, and that shit, I mean, it was a world away, but it wasn't one that I didn't think I could get to.
I mean, Home Alone, New York City was a world.
You know what I'm trying to say, right? Exactly. Like, I have friends that have not left the neighborhood, back home in Chicago.
And that's not surprising.
Have not left the neighborhood.
Yeah.
It's fortunate that there's a guy on Icon. Do you know Aaron? Have you worked with Aaron at all? Aaron Leap and Shaft? Shaft.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So Shaft, me and him went to high school together. So we grew up together. But it's fortunate that I'm like, here's a guy that I grew up with, that I went to high school. Oh,
Shaft. I wear it, brother.
Here's a guy that I went to high school with that's come through the program that I've had the opportunity to create opportunities for him. To do stuff and see things that, again, people in our neighborhood back in the day, he's very successful in his own lane now, but people that come from where we come from don't have those opportunities. And so anyway, I do a lot of self-checks to be like, those long days when we're on an assignment somewhere. We were just bitching a second ago about PJs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like,
which is crazy
how
to think
crazy are we talking about? Oh, we're losing all our frequent flyer miles. In fact, we should probably cut that. You know what I mean? Like,
they got to learn.
That's what I'm saying. But it's like, but so anytime I start, like, I'm like, yo, remember where you came from. Remember how bad you wanted it. And so those are the things that kind of keep me grounded. And I know that tomorrow's not promised, particularly in an industry like ours. We could break a leg, you know what I mean? Something could happen, some type of crisis, or you could have this A-list client that no longer is popping no more, or just doesn't want to use you no more. So tomorrow's not promised in this industry. So the thing that I do is it's like, how do I set myself up for success? How do I create different avenues and lanes that I could transition into, or or benefit from, and how can I do it so that I have other people? Because again, one day I won't be doing this.
Exactly.
But I know I got Ventrell. I know I got Sam. You know what I mean? I know I got you.
Yeah.
So I got people that
the pipeline is real.
Again, let's go back to the rap analogy. I always like to use rap analogy because maybe I'm immersed in that culture. So think about at one point Jazzo signed Jay-Z. Mm-hmm. Then Jay-Z blew up and he signed Jazzo. You know what I mean? So at one point,
you pay it forward.
Yeah,
and then it comes back
exactly. Then it comes back to you, whatever, you know? And so creating the environment for that, and I just want to touch on something you had said a second ago about, like, bro, I don't consider anybody my competition outside of competition, like if we were on a basketball court.
Yeah.
Like if we played a game and you want to be, I'm not going to let you win. We're going to, you know what I mean? We're going to push each other to the best of our abilities. That kind of competition, sure.
Yeah.
But competition where it's like, oh, this is, I don't know, Wall Street, the movie, and I got to crush you, and I got to make sure you don't succeed, and I got to hate on you, and all of that. Like, I'm not into none of that. And I usually kind of have blinders on. You know what I mean? Yeah. I see what's going on around me, but I know where I'm trying to get to. You know what I mean? And so I remember when I wrote the book, there was a couple people that's like, yo, what you writing on the book? Because the book is,
the hate
you already know this.
Mm-hmm.
This book is me. Like, the book is from my experiences, and that's what I put into the book.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm giving people the game that's in my, same thing at the course. I'm giving people the experiences, the mistakes I made. I put it in there. So people are like, yo, if you're doing that, then aren't you showing somebody how to do what you're doing? It's like, it's not gonna stop me from doing what I do.
What you eat don't make me shit.
Yeah, exactly.
but another part that they don't understand is life is about evolving. Okay. I'm giving you my past experience. I didn't tell you what the future's going on. I didn't tell you what's currently happening. I'm not telling you all the trends that are currently going on. Because like I said earlier, you're in the room that I'm not in yet. I've been in some rooms, but you've been in bigger rooms. So no matter what you put in that book, I still would have to go in the room to figure it out anyway. Because it's going to constantly be changing on the fly. Like if you can't pivot in this industry, then you shouldn't be here. Because you're going to have to pivot. It's not always going to be the same way. And with the gratitude comment that you made, I'm glad you said that, because literally Thursday I was advancing the arena and I'm walking around and I'm talking to a guy his name is Stretch. He's from the UK, but he works on this side of the pond too. And I said, yo, can you believe this is our fucking life? Like, this is our job. Like, how lucky are we? And he's like, yeah, you're right. And I said, at one point, see that kid standing there? I was him.
Just somebody in the stands, somebody watching the show.
No, somebody just standing at a post.
Oh, got it.
You know what I mean? Like an hourly wage standing at a post. I was like, I was him. Now he's looking at me and I'm looking at him and he doesn't understand, like, bro, I was you. And he's looking at me like, no, I want to be you. Sure. That's a crazy mindset.
And not to go on a tangent, but just him seeing you and you not shitting on him or, you know what I mean? Or
saying his name by his badge.
Yeah, exactly. Just can motivate him too. You know what I mean? Oh, let me take what I want to do to the next level. You know what I mean? Here's a guy who's doing that, you know?
And I really believe that my trajectory went faster once I personally got out of my own mental ego of, like you said, competition, me against, because this is an alpha sport. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And I'm friendly, but I'm not friendly. So once I started saying, you know what, this is just all a blessing. Like just... I became friendly. I was, hey, how you doing? Peace. You know, like I speak to everybody now. And a DJ who works for my client, but he's also related to my client, he said something to me a couple months back. He's like, man, one thing I know, if X is there, he know everybody in the building. They know him by the time we get there. So we ain't got to worry about nothing. I said, I appreciate that. But I never looked at it like that. I just thought I was being a human. Right. Like I constantly tell myself, yo, bro, just be human. It's not that serious. It's just security. Well, I'm not important. Like, the client is important. And a lot of guys get that confused. They think they're the client or they think they carry the weight of the client. Well, brother, that client can fire you tomorrow. And then what?
Yes.
Who are you?
Yes. It's a mistake to measure your success by the client that you have. Because when you don't have that client, then what does that mean about you? Yeah. And your worth, or, you know what I mean? And so if you're tied in so tightly in that, sure, when it's on the way up, cool. But I mean, how many people that were popping are no longer popping?
Or they just decide, I don't want to drop another album.
But that's what I'm saying. And, or they go to jail. You know what I mean? You think about people who have...
I got that too.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm just saying. So that shouldn't define who we are. You know what I mean? And we should be able to exist independent of that. And again, that's why I'm saluting you. You're building a brand. Mm-hmm. You're creating something that doesn't require you standing next to a famous person, working with a famous person, even though you do that.
Yeah.
On a regular basis.
And I love it too.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
I haven't lost the passion.
Yeah. So you do that, but you're creating something that can function independent of that. And then when you talked about the thing about, you kind of altering your mindset so it's not so much, Hunger Games competition, right? As they could, I call it Highlander.
Yeah.
It could only be one.
Exactly.
Proof of that is something like this. You have showcased people on here, which if you had that thing was like, oh no, this is on me, you wouldn't do that.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? You might do the show where you just talk at the screen and talk about how cool you are.
And that could have been some numbers too.
Yeah, so I'm saying but you know what I mean? So what you did was you created a platform and an opportunity, and then the pay it forward thing is somebody's gonna watch that. And they're gonna pick up something you said, or something that Kendra said, or something that Mike said, you know what I mean? Something that Chip said, and they're gonna be like, yeah, this is going to help me.
Or they're going to run into that moment. They're like, oh, dang, they did mention that.
Exactly.
And they see it and they laugh.
What I'm saying. So,
and I explain to people, I don't make no money from this podcast. That wasn't my point. I had been asked to do a podcast, and I stayed away from it because you had your podcast going on. And, what's his name? Byron Rogers started his thing, and I was kind of like, well, they got podcasts out there. But... somebody was like, well, yeah, you speak a little different. I was like, yeah, I'm not as eloquent as Elijah. I might say some ratchet stuff that might get me canceled.
Stripper pose.
Yes. I took a shot at it. The first season, I wasn't really happy with it because I was going with the old school mentality of how to put content out. But luckily, I don't have an ego I think I know everything. And I surrounded myself with people like, no, this is how you do it. And I said, okay, as long as I can stick to being authentic. Like, I don't want no fake stuff out there. You know what I'm saying? And I don't want people in front of the camera with me saying fake stuff or me vouching for them. Because once you sit with me, they're going to think that I'm with you. You know what I mean? Sure. So it's tricky, but it's been enjoyable. And to me, this is the highlight right here. Like, this was the one interview I was like, if I ever do it, that would be the bucket list. So I'm glad that this opportunity happened. I want to get into Vegas.
Wait, can we mention real quick how this happened? I don't know if we talked about this. Yeah, we can. So we were trying to figure out how we could coordinate. There was one point where I was in Miami for a few days, but I was on work mode. So we talked about at that point, like, okay, well, we could shoot at 6 a.m. Yeah. Because the thought process was if we left the clubs, me with the client I'm working with, 3, 4, I could shower and then we could have this call at 6 because we know they wouldn't be up around that time. Correct. That was like the original plan, and that didn't happen. So we were trying to figure this out and trying to get it done before the new year. And we talked about schedules, and my schedule was that I was going to be international until last night. Yep. And then I fly out international again.
And it just so happened to coincide that my detail ended last night.
Yeah. And I said, I can either fly to you or you could fly to me. It's going to be a little bit more difficult if I fly to you because I got to pack and then get back here. And he was like, yo, we'll do a remote. And he said, leave it with me. And then the next thing you know, you call me with an address, bro. Yeah. So I mean, I respect it.
I got on a flight, and team no sleep. I probably got about 12 hours in the last 4 days. But I'm cool with that
because also you did something big a couple of days ago, like 48 hours ago.
Yeah, so this is the game, and this is the job and what we signed up for. And like I said, this was something personal for me. It's fine. I mean, yes, we're in front of the camera, but I know how hard it is to catch up to you because usually we got to talk through WhatsApp and
voice note back and forth.
Yeah, so it's like the check-ins. It takes time, but we're here, and I made sure we got this done before the course because I want you to have it full that you got a waiting list.
Thank you.
And I like the fact that this time it's on the West Coast. It's in Las Vegas, which is a tourist city, so a lot of guys can easily fly there. They can take a red eye to get there. You have the celebrity protection, the regular course. It goes January 10th through the 14th.
Yep.
And the link will be on the page so you guys can sign up. It's Icon Global is the name of his company and the name of his training program. That's why I call him an icon. So it's not just for the merit base of work that he's put out there, but just also the leadership that he has given to so many other individuals like myself. I mentioned this earlier, like I was smiling just as hard with that certificate like I was with my high school. If you took my high school graduation picture and you put it next to the picture I took with you and Bob, I was cheesing harder. And my mom mentioned, she's like, why are you so damn happy? And I felt like I found my people. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because what helped is your teaching style. You know what I'm saying? Like you really let guys speak, have ideas.
Yeah, figure it out.
And then you come in and you do what you do. I don't want to give it all away because you got to go to the class for this. There's only so much free game you're going to get. Okay. But January 10th through the 14th, Las Vegas. Okay. Icon has a class. If you are a beginner, even if you 10 years in the game.
Yeah, bro, you don't have to be a beginner.
You know, because I wasn't a beginner when I went. I had some stripes on me, but I got polished up real quick. So you have your introduction course for celebrity protection, the 10th through the 14th, and then the 15th through the 19th is the advanced.
The advanced course.
So you have to take the original course in order to sign up for the advanced course. So if you are alumni and you've taken the regular celebrity course, you can do that by doing the advanced course. But if you have not, then you're not alumni. You have to start from the beginning.
Some people take the whole 10 days.
And it's so worth it. I know financially some people have questions. There are scholarship opportunities. If you can afford it and money is tight, because the first time I went, I wasn't lavishly living. We all have bills. But I made that money back pretty fast. Matter of fact, 1 week from being out of that course, Mark called me about an opportunity.
That's fire.
You know what I'm saying? And I tell people, like, you have to invest in yourself and it will come back to you. So not only did I have to invest in those suits, but I did get a phone call. I've gotten several phone calls strictly because I am an Icon alum and I do live in Miami and we have multiple guys in Miami. But, if you've done the course, you should be busy. You should learn enough to get your ball rolling on how to move forward.
We put a couple calls into you and you've been busy, which I love.
Yeah.
I love when we call somebody and they're like, oh, yeah, I can't do it.
I be feeling so bad. I'm like, oh, they're going to stop calling me.
No, bro. I love that, bro, because I want cats to be busy. I want cats to succeed. And then even, what you said a second ago, for me to put on a class, for me to have other instructors in a training facility, all that costs money, right? Like, I get that. But I also try to create some mechanisms where if understanding that some people might not have the finances at that time. And so we created this scholarship program. And because I can remember, again, the first book I got was the guy I wrote this book with, Dale L. June. Dale L. June had a book called Introduction to Executive Protection. I think that was the first edition. And we did the fourth edition together. Yeah. But I remember I had his book and I'm like, yep, this is it. I'm about to be official. And I remember doing a search and trying to figure out like where I'm going to go to bodyguard school. And the name ESI kept coming up, Executive Security International. And I'm like, yep, that's it. I'm doing it. And at that time, again, I'm about to date myself, you had to send in a self-addressed stamped envelope so that they could send you the information on the course, so they could send you the brochure. So I mailed in a self-addressed stamped envelope and they mailed back the course stuff. And I was reading, I'm like, oh, hell yeah, I'm doing all of this, right? And I got to the last page, which is the price page. And I'm like, I'm not doing none of this shit. Like, I can't afford the flight. Like,
man, look.
And I was tapped. Like, they even had a distance education program. I couldn't afford that. Anyway, I say all to say is, when you little or something, man, if I had $1 million, man, I would make sure I give every, what I mean? You say something, aspirational, right? Like if I get put on, I'm going to do this. But I said, like, if I ever had the opportunity to be able to help somebody else with training, I would. And, again, fortunately, I don't know, with year 17, I think, of the course or something like that.
Yeah.
I've been able to offer a full scholarship every year at least one, because we've got a client now who you may or may not have met, I'm not sure. But we have a client now who actually funds a scholarship for us. So every course, they pay for one person because they know how much we believe in, like, again, paying it forward. And so at least one scholarship every year, somebody has that opportunity. And then we also have like this finance program, and the finance program isn't credit-based, right? Because I mean, what's credit got to do with what we do is ethics and morals, and you know what I mean, and integrity. That's how we kind of structure this piece. Like, so for the finance program, it's like, oh, you're gonna pay us back. You're gonna pay us back because X is vouching for you, Ventrell is vouching for you, Kevin is vouching for you, and you would hate to be on all of their bad terms.
If you're on my bad terms, I'm gonna come see you.
You know what I mean? So again, we haven't had any defaults because we operate like that. So anyway, I just gave some more game. Yeah. But it's all for like, because I've been able to create, again, in those years, this ecosystem where cats have come through the program, not to say they didn't have experience or areas of specialties or training in other environments, but they've been able to come through the program, go out into the world, do amazing things, and then help other people, Same thing as a fraternity, or
it really is.
You know what I mean?
It's a brotherhood.
Exactly. Same thing as where people help other people in the organizations. And so when we use the term networking, it ain't the same as like the generic term people use about networking. You know what I mean?
No, this is a real alumni network. Yeah. I've seen Mike just branch out with his OPEC group, and now he's doing
knock it out the park.
Yeah, he's doing great things. Whatchamacallit out of Utah, he just announced that he got his degree and his company's doing new things. And I'm just like, I was in class with this guy. You know what I'm saying? It's great to see it. Like, I'm happy for guys, because a big thing that a lot of people don't understand is there's so much room for everybody to eat. And they keep trying to bottleneck each other. And I'm like, y'all have to stop. Yeah. I see it in two folds. Number one, I see that the guys who are going to your class in the last 2-3 years, they have real resumes before they get there. Mm-hmm. And it's like you're putting a battery in their back that they didn't have, but now they see themselves going to another level. Sure. And the guys are doing that. And then another part of the frequency that I see is that people are buying into being selfless. You get what I'm saying? Like, I'm getting texts and messages from guys I've never met, but they're part of the group. And they were like, bro, I see you. I'm happy for you. I'm proud of you. Congratulations. And I see myself doing the same thing. Because normally I'd be like, man, I'm not writing nobody I don't know. But I'd be happy to see guys like, yo, bro, I appreciate you. Like, that's a comforting feeling, because this road life gets lonely sometimes. Facts. Like I told you earlier, like, is this really worth it? Yeah. But then when you have a brotherhood and you got other guys who are like-minded individuals and they're all pushing themselves forward, it makes you go harder. So for that, I commend you, because you're really cultivating something that's beyond just the work. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, guys are having meetups in different cities. Like, hey, bro, I'm here in the city. Anybody want to pull up? Right. And I'm seeing 5 or 6 guys just going to happy hour together. It had nothing to do with me. It's on the message boards. They're just doing it. And I think that's crazy. And then I get jealous. I'm like, damn, I ain't been able to get to one yet.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? Like,
Joe, I feel like that. Yeah, like, cats will be doing it, And the other thing, too, not to cut you, but the fact that we've been able to do that and have students that come internationally means we get to expand that reach other places. Yeah. You know what I mean?
And it's worked out for me with that, too.
So, a couple of the alumni just, you can cut all this shit out if you want. A couple of alumni just hit me the other day from Australia. They ran into each other in Australia. One lives in Cali and the other one lives in Texas. And they run into each other in Australia. Like, so when I hear something like that, I'm like, all right, cool. We're doing something right.
Or like when I get guys who are like, oh, and I told you, I make everybody go to your course. If you want to talk to me about EP and really doing this, you got to prove it to me. And one of the proving steps is going to your class. And I've had about 2 or 3 guys go to the class and come back to me and be like, yo, thank you, bro. I appreciate it. And I see their trajectory change and their battery in the back. And then they get excited like, yo, I ran into this guy, man. This alumni's everywhere. Yeah, we really shaking and moving. I was telling a story earlier. It's what I love about watching your brand grow is the work speaks, right? Like, you're not sitting there talking about icon. That's not how you do your thing. I've been in group chats with people where they're trying to introduce me to other people who are decision makers. Yeah. And I'm like, well, who do you currently use now? And they be like, I use Icon. And I stopped the conversation right there. because I'm like, well, shit, there's nothing I can offer that they're not already getting. I mean, why would I go against my brothers? Like, you're in good hands. All right, move on to another source. And not only do I move away, but the people, they were like, oh, I use Icon. That's it. They don't say, oh, I'm looking to change. None of that. They're happy with what they have. Yeah. And that's a real brand where they don't even second guess. Because, in this game, they're always price shopping.
Sure. For sure.
They're always trying to get a better price.
For sure.
And there's always going to be somebody willing to lowball. But not your clientele. Yeah. They'll be like, no, I work with Elijah's just my guy. We go back, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, word, bless. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I leave it at that because the brand is strong enough. It's like saying Nike. Right. Oh, what do you wear? Nikes. Oh, okay, bet. Yeah. Like, what you gonna say? Oh, yeah, I got Reeboks. Yeah. Still ain't Nike. You know what I'm saying? There's levels to it, and I love that part of it. Like, okay, cool. He's out there. Like, I had never seen somebody have their own tour bus for security. Like just little things you do in the game. I'm like, damn, I can't wait till I get a budget like that. Like I would have never thought. Yeah. You know what I mean? I'm trying to pick up guys in different cities. He's like, no, I got my team with me. We going. We out of here.
And let me tell you, like, and there's cats that look like us that are doing it at a high level. I've just figured out how I stepped in front of the bullet in terms of making sure that I would put it front and center and talk about how I do it, and hopefully in a way that doesn't seem like salacious or exploitive or stroking myself off. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so, that might make somebody mad who's like, man, he ain't the only one doing that. And I'm not trying to say I'm the only one doing that. All I'm trying to say is I have figured out something, and the things that I've figured out, I've tried to share with other people. Yeah. You know what I mean? I figured out how to make a living out of it, a career that I love to do, but I've also figured out how to share it with other people. So here's a blueprint. You know what I mean? Do what you will with that joint. You know what I mean? And then, like, even if somebody like tries to discredit me, which has tried to happen a couple times through my career, they don't have no legs to stand on, right? You know what I mean? Because shit, all I gotta say is talk to X. Like, I ain't gotta, you know what I mean? Like, the argument don't have to come from me.
I don't want everybody to think that Icon is just doing men. We have a lot of females that are coming out of these classes. And I just want to touch base and let people know that you have a history of always feeding the empowerment of women, because you've done programs where you have provided protection for women when it comes to getting into shelters and domestic violence and things like that. Now, we don't have to go too deep in it because that's some heavy stuff, and that can go down a lot of different roads. But I just want to put that out there, like, to be a protector doesn't just mean with celebrities. You get what I'm saying? Like, you can protect the people around you. You can protect the women around you. And that's why I said earlier to take a look at these books, because it will help you. It's not just a resource if you're a bodyguard. My next question would be, what are your hobbies? Because you're helter-skelter with everything else. You're an entrepreneur. I personally have an idea what your hobbies are, but I want you to speak on it. What's your happy place and your happy zone?
Well, a couple things. So one, I went to film school. I went to film school and I started doing security work to pay for school. Didn't make movies. But then, you see what I'm doing now. Yeah. But I still love film. So like my happy place is like posted up. I got a big ass projector with a big ass screen and just post it up and like watching movies. Like, I don't even go to the theater. I like try and be at the crib and like watch cinema though.
I got a projector too.
See, that's how you watch a movie, bro. Yeah. And but I'm the kind of like I don't really like watch TV and stuff like that. I'll watch the same good movie 30 times versus take a risk on like whatever's out.
It's crazy how you could watch a movie 30 times and still pick up new stuff that you missed in the script or the dialogue. 100%. Yeah. One of the little secrets that I do is I watch a lot of Broadway musicals. I'm into musicals. And people are like, musicals? I'm like, yeah, I will go see Hamilton 1,000,000 times. Like, when I'm stressed out, I play Hamilton.
We are a lot alike, except this, we're different, bro.
Yeah. I
musicals freak me out, bro. Because if me and you were talking right now, and I just started singing and got up and started dancing, you would say, oh, it's crazy.
Yeah, you wildin'.
So it's like,
you wildin'.
The fact that you could do that,
I'm not into all musicals. It's just certain ones catch me. I think that goes back to like Whoopi Goldberg with Serafina. Okay. You don't remember that?
I remember it. Yeah.
So it's stuff like that. I love music.
Brave man.
I always thought I was going to be on radio, so I did all the production courses. That's what I graduated in college. That was my degree in college, was communications and all that stuff. And there's something you touch on the course that a lot of people don't understand is the production side of EP. And I think that's a cool segment. If you guys have an opportunity, please. This is covered in the book. Once again, Celebrity Protection and Touring, okay, by Elijah Shaw, okay. So take a look at that, but it is important. Matter of fact, there was a section of the course when it comes to working with live animals.
Yeah.
And you remember I hit you up, and I was like, damn, it came up. I had to work with live animals, and my client had this idea of what he wanted to do.
Sure.
And of course, they say yes, but then they throw us in afterwards, and now I got to figure it out. But thank God it's covered in the course. I was prepared, and it came off without a hitch. And the great thing was when I advanced it, there were things that they hadn't thought of that I brought up.
That you thought, yeah.
And I was like, look, this is maybe a part. Like, so what's the situation? So like, it was a horse. You know what I mean? But it was a crowd, and well, what kind of training does a horse have? Oh, it's used to shooting, and da da. I was like, okay, so I was able to mitigate that, but I was just happy. Like, see, this is why you invest in yourself. This is why you read the books. This is why you read the books. This is why you go to the classes, so that when it comes up, you are ready. Even if you can't afford the class, $15-$20. This will get you through a lot of turmoil until you get to the class. I'm just gonna leave it at that. Okay. We're running out of time because, you know.
Wait, hold on, bro. I'm going to answer this question. So movies, and then the other thing that I love about, I'm passionate about is like, I try and get lost in the world. Like,
you definitely get lost.
Like, you know, like we talked about this, like we've accumulated a lot of frequent flyer miles over our career. So I'll literally spin the globe, do like that, and then jump on a plane and go somewhere and just explore. So, because again, where I came from, like those things were like,
make memories.
It was impossible to do. So, you know, I go hike a volcano, or I'll go, explore a cave, or and I do a lot of that alone, and
like you ain't scared of heights, because there was one picture you had. You sit on the edge of a cliff. I'm like, what the hell is he thinking?
Some shit is not really smart, but some things I do.
I'd be like, yo, Elijah must have the best health insurance in the world. You know what I mean? Like you be like, I'm like, is this a photo shoot or is this his life? And it is. You really do look like you're living a movie, and I'm happy for it. That's not my vibe because I'm just impatient.
Yeah,
you get what I'm saying? But I do understand where you come from, because my first trip to Australia, I'll never forget. I looked around. I was like, this is real. Like this, the earth really has beautiful things that look like this, just untouched.
You talking about the girls?
Huh? No.
Oh, I'm just wondering where you was going with that.
I'm tracking. I'm from Miami, so they come. I've seen it before. I haven't leaving Miami, but no, just Mother Nature and the water and the cliffs and the sound of the ocean. I was like, how the hell did I get here?
Yeah.
And you always say, oh, it's crazy where the roads lead with this business, and I'm like, there's a lot of quotes you say that I'd be like, yo, that's so true. And it's a crazy journey.
Yeah. The business will take you some amazing places.
But I do appreciate the fact that you don't gatekeep. You do show it. And it's not like a flex where it's just bragging. It's like, no, this is real. This can be something that you can have yourself if you just stick to it with the discipline. One thing I get mad about it myself is like, you do these run challenges where you'll run 80 days straight. And I'm just like, how the hell does he find the time?
Well, that part there also, again, is I guess a bit of a passion or something, is the workout piece, but it's more so just because like I need an outlet. You know what I mean? I need to, you see like the photos I take and stuff like that. It's just an outlet. So when I figured out like, oh, okay, I'm on the road anyway. So if I'm on the road anyway, I should get out of the hotel, because a big part of my career, once I got in the hotel, I was just in the hotel because I'm just trying to sleep. You know what I mean? Trying to recover. But it's now okay, force yourself to get out of the hotel. If you're going to get out of the hotel, can you incorporate your workout into it? Can you now go see these things? It's a cool little site. I don't know if you know about this. You know this site called Atlas Obscura?
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically any place on the map, you can put it in and it'll tell you the unusual or unique things in that area, city, state, country. So I'll just look at that and go, okay, I'm going to go see this shit.
Like me, it's food, and I've been taking walks.
Okay.
Yeah. I have a friend. Her name is Kelly. She's a foodie, but she's like an extreme foodie. She Michelin star.
You go find the spot.
Yeah. So
it's dope,
like, and then she's friends with a person who does all the writing. So if I say, hey, I'm here, send me a list of all the places. It's like, and I'm like, damn, people really live like this. Like they're that deep. I'm not big into hobbies like that because I try to keep peace once I get away from the crowds. Sure. I need to like meditate. But I have been walking. Okay. That's my new thing. I'll just go walk. Yeah. Which I never used to do because I was lazy.
But the reason, whether it's walking, exploring, whatever, for me it was, I just realized, like, I think the thing where it came home, and this was years ago, decades ago now, but I remember I had been to Paris like 3 times and I had never seen the Eiffel Tower. And I was like, all right, bro, you got to get out of the hotel.
I've never seen the Statue of Liberty, and I've been in New York a million times. That's what I'm saying. Like, that's crazy.
This is what I'm saying. Like, so all the things that everybody flocks to, we're not there even though we're in these places. So,
the one time I did a bucket list was there was a statue of this Black Roman emperor. Okay. And I found out where his statue was in the museum, and I went to it. Okay. And I was so excited because I was like, yo, I can't believe this. Because I'm a history nut, but like that, my hobbies usually they're just nerdy stuff. People think we're just these big tough guys trying to bully people, and I'm like, no, I really.
Come on, give me a nerdy hobby besides the musical shit, which is mad nerdy.
I love history, so like when I hear about that Roman emperor, he was black, and I didn't realize that a lot of the Roman Empire were black leaders. Sure. They were just whitewashed. So like I do deep dives. Like that's the new thing I'm doing now is finding out what's real history versus what was taught to us. I'm big into politics. I'm a nerd with politics. You do a lot of political things, and I love it because I'm laughing at the new guys who constantly
I just work with rappers. What you talking about?
Yeah. I laugh at all the new guys who keep getting online, posting their opinions on political things. I'm like, you guys have no clue how you're shooting yourself in the
burning
foot.
themselves down.
With gasoline draws. Like, I'm like, bro, don't say nothing. Regardless of what you think, your opinion doesn't have to be said out loud. There should be a course of teaching how to be private. Just keep it to yourself.
In the era that we're in now, people think that anything they think should go up. No. And and again, we both could say firsthand that it could cost you opportunities.
It's going to.
Yeah, exactly. It costs people opportunities. And you never even know that it happened. You know what I mean? You just don't get the call.
Because what you guys got to understand is the staff that works for your client, the client themselves, they doom scroll all day long. And they may not be following you, but they see everything you're doing. So if they see you in the car and you're scrolling on TikTok in your free time, or you're on Instagram in your free time, it's going to ring in their head. They're going to check out what you're posting and what you're saying. And they take notes. And they have networks too. They all talk to each other. They all know each other. You get caught in beef because the tour manager you're working with now is beefing with the other tour. You know what I mean? Like it's some wild stuff.
And then the other thing too is as a profession, we do risk mitigation. Yeah. So as a person who puts people in details, I need to make sure I'm putting the right person in the detail. So I'm looking at socials. I'm trying to get that sense of your character. I'm like, oh, wait, he's really opinionated. Yeah. This opinion wouldn't necessarily mesh with this client here. So not to say that you would say something, but if the possibility exists, it's going to be easier for me to just go to the next person.
Yeah, or you're always partying. You're always out. You're at the happy hour. You're always with a girl. Right. Yeah. One of the biggest things that takes everybody down is a female. I'm like, yo, I need you not to be thirsty. Can you handle what comes with this business? Because the social dynamics will kill you, and they don't get that. So my final question.
All right, where we at?
What is your why?
My why?
Yes.
I'm in a legacy, bro. Like I wanted to get in the business, and I remember I still have it. I when I left the company that I was with before I started Icon, I had a 2-year non-compete agreement. That meant for 2 years I couldn't do work in the industry. I also told you that this is the only thing I've ever done since I graduated from high school. And I went to film school. So I didn't have anything else. Like I was gonna make a movie in those 2 years. So anyway, during that time, I wrote out my business in a notepad, in a spiral notebook. I still have it. And I was like, okay, I built my website. I actually drew it. Mm-hmm. I wrote the copy for it in this notepad. So I kind of had this blueprint, right? Maybe that's the theme, right?
Yeah.
I had this blueprint of what I wanted to do. And then I had those things that I said, like, yo, if I ever get the opportunity, if I ever, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I said all those things. And then it was like, all right, over my journey, I got to put those things into fruition. You know what I mean? I got to, if I could, this would be a good idea. I would try that idea. Mm-hmm. Again, they don't all necessarily work, right?
Yeah, of course.
But as I started doing that, it started creating like a body of work. It started creating a legacy.
Yeah.
When I went to, for my training, I went to an executive protection program called Trojan International.
Okay.
And Trojan's the real deal. They do a lot of shit overseas.
Yeah.
And so those guys do a lot of stuff overseas. They, that was back when security contracting thing was really, really big, and they were training guys and rotating guys. And again, this was a skill set that I didn't have, so I had to make sure I had to hater-proof myself. So I was going through these courses with these guys that were all in, right?
Yeah, man, them guys are psycho.
Yeah. So anyway, but as I was doing that, and they knew that the stuff that I did was celebrity stuff, they were like, yo, you should teach a course. And I'm like, nah, I'm not a teacher. And I was like, nah. And they was like, yo, you really should. And they kept pushing it. Shout out to Steve. And so eventually the beginning of the Icon course was me teaching a course with them at their facility.
Okay.
And that's how I started teaching the class. So I got kind of pushed into it, right? Yeah. But what that allowed me to do, again, from then until now, is be able to interact and play some part in the careers of individuals like you.
Yeah.
Individuals like Ventrell. And so that created something that would outlast me. The same thing with the books. Mark James was the guy who kept pushing me like, you should write a book. You should write a book. I'm like, bro, I don't know nothing about writing. I'm a big reader.
Yeah. But
writing is like a chore for me. And I was like, fuck I gotta say. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's other executive protection books. What do I have to offer?
And then where do you start? Like, how do you write
exactly.
a book?
And, so Mark James was the guy who pushed me into that. I met Dale June. Mm-hmm. Dale L. June is the guy who wrote Introduction to Executive Protection. He's also a retired member of the United States Secret Service.
Yes. Legendary career, by the way.
Legendary. I want to say 4 presidential administrations he served under.
And then also look up Bob Dugan too, ESI. Go ahead.
Bob Dugan, yeah.
Yeah.
But Dale was like, I'll show you how to write a book. I'll help you write your first book. I'll help you. He helped me shop the book to get the book deal.
Nice.
Because I went and got a deal. Because I thought, well, yeah, I could self-publish, but is that just a stroke off? Is that just me, I'll just put a book out. And I was like, nah, I want a book deal. I want an advance.
Yeah.
I want an editor and copywriters,
Do it right.
Yeah, do it right. Now, again, I realize I parted with a lot of money because of that, right? But that was that fear in the beginning. But they helped me with that. But the byproduct of that is legacy.
You have the
book,
big one too.
The book exists. In fact, I just realized, bro, that even right now, this is a Spanish language edition right here on the table. I don't know.
Listen, when I looked at it and I tried to see if it said executive, and I'm not going to edit it out. I did fumble the word executive.
I looked down and I'm like, yo, you got the Spanish language. But again, somewhere in Mexico, somebody's reading that.
Yeah, for sure.
And then the thought is somebody's going to be reading that 20 years from now. So when you ask me why, it's a lot of words, is that I want to create something that's going to outlast me. Maybe I won't reach the heights that a Bob Dugan, who founded ESI, did, or something like. I mean, but you know what I'm saying?
It's all relative.
But my point is that there's something that's going to stay after I'm not here, mm-hmm. and the Icon logo and the Icon shield and the people who are alumni, they're going to exist, and so that's my why.
Well, funny part, I only know 2 bodyguards. If you Google their name, there's an actual Wikipedia and photos, and that's you and Julius. So
shout out to Julius.
Yeah.
He deserves it, bro.
So
I don't know.
So with that, I want to thank you on camera and give you your flowers because you don't do too many interviews. You're not out in the public. Like, you're constantly working. You got your head to the ground, and you lead from the front. You get what I'm saying? And for that, I want to thank you, not just as an EP mentor, but just as a black man giving other black men a visual. You know what I'm saying? Because what a lot of guys won't say is a lot of guys didn't grow up with a father. So to find a mentor or accept a mentor,
me included,
or accept a mentorship program of some sort is a very big deal. I was lucky enough. I had a great stepfather, so that wasn't my story. But what my story is I know what a real motherfucker looks like. You get what I'm saying?
It's powerful. Yeah.
And I didn't join the military because my stepfather said there was no room for me to do that. He knew me better than I knew myself. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
As I've become a wiser man, I've learned the issue is I don't follow what I don't respect. You get what I'm saying? I follow you and I stalk you because I respect you and I respect what you do and how you carry yourself. And there are thousands of us, not just a couple hundred. There are thousands of us who see what you do and they probably just don't know how to say it. They don't realize they could just write to you and say it. But I want to thank you for bringing what you bring to the game because it has changed my life. You get what I'm saying? I don't take for granted that I get to feed my kids in a better way and make way more income. I remember taking a $10 an hour job at Coco's in Miami, getting shot at, fighting every day. I remember making $125 for 5 hours of death work, working the club scene. And I'm looking at another black person who don't have a hoodie on all day long, talking to all these, and this is not to be on some racial stuff, but to talk to all these white gentlemen who run these venues and really don't respect us sometimes because they have a opinion about how we move. And you've changed that. So for that, I am thankful. I want to make sure it is out there in the world because you might not see him on the internet until there's another course because he will be in hiding. But if you think I'm dick riding, if you want to be in the comments saying, oh, he just, then so be it. Guess what? There's levels to it and you're just not at that level yet. And I'm not even going to try to be humble about that. If you know what's really going on, you will research this man and you will follow along or fall in line. That's what I would say. Fall in line because there's a big alumni group of us who daily talk to each other and communicate with each other and have opportunities because we went to your course. And you laid that foundation for us, and I want to thank you. So just remember, together, together, eight strong. Okay, this is another episode of Silverback Syndicate. This is a bucket list for me. I want to thank everybody who's tuning in. So I'll see you on the next one. Peace.